Stay tuned for Pine Meadows Hobby Farms Homestead tip number 3. Hello, welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. Hey, Homestead tip number 3 is waste disposal. Now, what goes in must come out, if you know what I mean. So you need proper management of body waste. Without proper treatment and disposal of human waste, you do run the risk of getting and sharing cholera, especially from the feces. Now, there are a few methods of disposing or treating human waste. One is you put it in a bag and you dispose of it correctly. Another way is just a simple composting toilet, which off-gridders, anybody who has had a major catastrophic storm come through your area, you had flooding, whatever, the system is down, no power, whatever, you can use a composting method, and that's just simply by pooping in a bucket and laying some sawdust or soil over the top of it. There's microbes in the soil will help break that and compost that material down, and it shouldn't smell if it's treated properly. Of course, you don't really want to add urine to that. You can urinate in a separate bucket, and urine could be disposed of in another method. Another method is dig a hole in the ground and have an outhouse. Basically, it's composting. That's what it's doing. Then when the hole gets full, you bury it with soil and then you move on. Here at Pine Meadows Hobby Farm, we were fortunate enough to acquire some property that already had an infrastructure in. Here behind me is a mound. It's covered with grass, but in this mound is what we call a sand filter system, sewage treatment system. This sewage is collected in a tank that is separated into two parts. The solids go and settle to the bottom of one half of the tank, and all the effluent, the liquid part, goes through a pipe and over into another chamber, and then it is pumped out and then up into the sand filter system through a sprinkler system buried in the ground. And that water is pressurized, squirts up, and filters through the sand, removing as much of the organic material as possible, the pathogens. And then the water then flows out into a drain field that is out here in the field, and it percolates down into the ground. And as it percolates through the ground, of course, it does continue filtering out all the pathogens that are in there. In most areas, the soil is a composition as such that it will percolate through gravity runoff. So it'll go right from the septic tank right down into a drain field by gravity and percolate naturally through the ground. You don't need a pump in there to run on electricity to pressurize the water or the effluent and pump it up through a filtering system like we do in our region because of the type of soil we have. And another method is purchasing one of these porta potties that you can take camping with you. This has a chamber below that collects the soilage, and then you can safely discard that in a safe place also. Also, if you're fortunate enough to have an RV, you can utilize the closed system in that. Once your system gets full, then you can drain it off into a potty wagon is what I call this, and you can safely transport the sewage for safe disposal. So this has been my homestead tip number 3 on handling human waste safely. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen, here at Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I want to thank you guys for joining me, and we'll see you guys on more videos. Bye-bye.